Good morning, everyone. It's Friday the 13th, 2026. This is an update from Family Affiliated Support Services. I've titled this video, Why Try? Why Try? I've been overseeing Family Affiliated Support Services for the last 29 years. There's been many changes throughout the years. And there's been many times when I have asked myself the question, why am I even doing this? Why am I even trying to help people out when I could be focusing on other things? Why try? Well, I can tell you why I try, because I believe that God is the one that put it in my heart to try to reach out and help other people. I've failed many, many times. And sometimes I wonder, is really God in this? But yet I keep going. God puts it in my heart to keep going. When you see someone, I've heard people malign and talk about how many frauds they're out there on the street collecting money and so on. But I'll tell you what, when I see someone in a wheelchair out the side of the road saying anything could help, and it's below freezing and sleeting and they're sitting there in that cold weather, it's hard for me to start judging them for out there trying to survive. But when I see some young girl out with a baby carriage and a baby in the carriage, and she's got an umbrella and it's raining and she's got a sign up, please help. You can count me as a sucker if you want to. My heart goes out to hurting people. When I see a handicapped child that's barely able to walk and the parents trying to help their child get around, my heart goes out to them. When I see a family that is struggling to survive financially and being threatened to be evicted from their property and put out in the cold, when I see someone who is diagnosed with terminal cancer trying to cope through that whole process, these things move me, And like I've said before, one of the reasons I think these things tend to move me a little bit more is because when my son was 17, we have one child, Mark Phillips. You meet him at night, he reads the scripture for me. What a blessing that has been. But at 17, he was diagnosed with a brain degenerative disease. His brain was kicking out massive amounts of dopamine, and before they got the dopamine levels slowed down, it caused brain damage. And Mark was just 50 years old the other day. If you get a chance, wish him happy birthday. But he was 50 years old on the 8th of March, and since 17 he's been living with us, and it has not been easy. I will tell you, it's not been easy. 33 years of living with someone who's struggling with their cognitive functioning has not been easy. We were told to put him in an institution and go on with our life. Could you believe that? Someone you love, your only child. And so my heart reaches out to those that are hurting, and I want to help them any way I can. And that's why we started Family Affiliated Support Services 29 years ago. And we would have liked to have done more. I'm not very good at fundraising, I'll admit that. I'm not like Bill Bright's organization that raises $750 million a year. I think the most I've ever raised in a year has probably been, maybe $3,000, $4,000. But we do what we can. In the last 17 years, we have been providing low-income housing to about 25 people, where we've now turned that management over to and ownership over to another company. But we want to continue in our services to the northwest Arkansas and southwest Missouri area, down where we live in this area. We like to support organizations that are helping handicapped people. We recently were able to give a gift to Ability Tree out of Bentonville, Arkansas, and also we were able to give another gift to another organization in Joplin that works with disabled children and so on. As many of you know, I was a social worker with the state of Missouri back 29 years ago before we started this organization, and I was terminated as a social worker for refusing to license and place children with homosexuals. And we filed a lawsuit against the state of Missouri. I've written a book about it, Phillips versus the state of Missouri. If you make a donation, I'll make sure you get a copy of this book. This tells all about the 5-year battle we had against the state of Missouri for their coming against me because of my religious beliefs. And God was very victorious in winning us the case in this victory. And he utilized the organization of American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, to bring a federal lawsuit against the state of Missouri. But that's the story, so that's why I've named this video, Why Try? May the good Lord be with you today in a special way is my prayer. God bless.